Severance, which had an almost 3-year hiatus due to the writers' and actors' strikes, is finally set to return on January 17. The Ben Stiller-directed series will have new episodes every week until March, with fans hopefully getting some answers on a few pressing questions, such as why are there goats? With a cast led by Adam Scott as Mark Scout, the series focuses on a group of workers in the Macrodata Refinement Department, MDR, at Lumen, a mysterious biotechnology company led by the Ian family. The employees can choose to undergo a severance procedure, which means that outside the walls of Lumen, they cannot remember their work day, and when they're at work, they cannot remember their outside lives. If you're severed, you're essentially split into two versions of yourself, an innie version and an outie version, each completely unfamiliar with the other, all for the sake of work-life balance. The first season concluded on a somewhat crazy cliffhanger. Because of Milchick's mishap with Dylan, our innie heroes learn about the overtime contingency, or OTC. With Grainer's keycard in hand, they were able to take over the security room and bring their innie selves to life in the outie world. On the side, Irving learned his outie was looking into Lumen. Additionally, he had created other unsettling paintings depicting a lengthy, dark corridor with an elevator at its end, an elevator that descended beneath the severed floor. Irving, who was in love, ignored all of this and a larger plan to go locate Bert, whom he found to be married. When we last saw him, he was shouting his name at Bert's house. Helly, meanwhile, ended up in the corridors of power at a large, upscale Lumen event where her outie was scheduled to give a speech. We found out that Helena Egan, the daughter of James Egan, the boss of the company, was her outie. She called for assistance from her platform, informing the audience that the innies were being harassed and tortured and were not the carefree employees depicted in all of the blown-up photos from the party. The most significant situation, however, occurred when Mark was navigating his sister Devon's home and his brother-in-law Rickon was reading from his self-help book to a group of sycophants. Not only was Mark shocked to see Ms. Coble here, but he was even more shocked to see a wedding picture of his outie with the lady he has come to know as Ms. Casey, Diction Lackman. Chaos breaks out when Devon and Rickon's kid disappears, and as Mark pieces things together, he exclaims, "She's alive," after discovering that everyone up here believes Ms. Casey/Gemma is dead. Just as the OTC comes to a conclusion, Milchick overwhelms Dylan on the severed floor. In the actual world, 3 years have gone by while we all awaited the next event. We'll have to wait a little while longer to find out what occurs in the outie world next. The severed floor of Lumen serves as the setting for the whole of Severance's Season 2 opener. 5 months later, Marcus wakes up back in the severed floor as we open to an elevator. The gathering at Devon's place would be his final recollection. He is clearly still agitated, but Mr. Milchick welcomes him back to work right once, telling him that 5 months have gone by and that he and his coworkers are now all famous in the world above, that they now represent innie reform. Naturally, astute viewers will naturally doubt anything Milchick says. Has it really been that long? Is their small act of rebellion what made them famous? Is everything false, and false? The situation on the severed floor has undoubtedly changed. Mark is informed by Milchick that none of his coworkers choose to go back to Lumen. A whole new crew of macrodata refiners has taken their position. We are as perplexed by Milchick's replacement as floor manager as Mark and his new colleagues are by the fact that a youngster, Ms. Huang, now occupies Ms. Coble's place. During a pass-the-ball game, the other Mark asks her, "Why are you a child?" "Because of the time of my birth," she responds curtly. Mark is not pleased. The fact that his team, his only buddies in the world, has been replaced makes him extremely unhappy. So he puts a funny note in the pocket of other Mark's jacket. It's a funny note. It is a note from other Mark to his outie in which he calls Milchick a shambolic rube and makes fun of him by referring to him as Mr. Milkshake. The message implies that in order to completely remove the severed floor, the outies strap explosives to him. Naturally, though, Milchick realizes right once that Marcus is to blame. Before removing Marcus from his position of leadership, he remarks, "You didn't even bother to disguise your handwriting." When Marcus starts to smile, Milchick asks him what's making him smile. Marcus responds, "You don't even know what I've done to the kitchen yet," and then he runs away when the others go to look. He dashes to Milchick's office, which was once Ms. Coble's, and to Milchick's dismay, the computer screen still reads, "Welcome, Ms. Coble." He locates the speaker, plugs it in, and starts pleading with the board for assistance. "Please return my team to me if you truly care about helping severed people," he begs. When he eventually catches up to him, Milchick shows him the way to the elevator. "Are you letting me go?" Marcus asks incredulously. "You're off," Milchick says. When Marcus opens his eyes, he finds himself back on the severed floor, exiting the elevator once more, but this time a huge picture of Kier and the MDR staff has taken the place of the wall clock. Kier is pardoning his misbehaving kids. It's really eerie. Then Irving and Dylan show up. They are all new to what happened in Season 1. Irving is particularly distressed. Then, much to Mark's relief, Helly shows up. He's still thinking about their brief affair. The foursome is concerned about monitoring even if Helly observes that the security camera in their workspace is no longer there, even though they would really like to know what each innie witnessed outside. The newbies are then confused when Ms. Huang appears and informs them that Mr. Milchick is waiting for them in the break room, which is the most horrifying interrogation room from Season 1. However, the small, dim room is gone when they get there, much like the wellness room Ms. Casey worked in. It has been replaced by a warm area with comfortable chairs, a flashy projector, and inspirational wall posters. Milchick informs them that Lumen has created a new video that will be broadcast to every innie going ahead and that they are now famous. The video is amazing. Something is going on. The Lumen building, voiced by none other than Keanu Reeves, narrates the animated short. The Lumen building recounts the MDR rebellion's history, honoring its participants who stood up to injustice and brought about all the amazing improvements that are now in store for them, such as improved food and benefits like pineapple bobbing, greater freedom to move throughout the halls, and more. All four of the innies are utterly perplexed at the end of the video. Milchick informs them that they now have an option, and that he does not wish to be their jailer. No one will stop them if they go, or they might remain and carry on with their vital task. There won't be any cameras, microphones, or other privacy violations. For good reason, they don't believe a word he says, but they tell their stories after he goes. Mark informs them that Ms. Coble attended the party hosted by his sister and brother-in-law. He also informs them that everyone believes Ms. Casey is dead, but in reality, she is his Audi's wife. I'm relieved that this significant discovery has been addressed so quickly, but Helly whistles a whole other melody. She claims to have woken up while watching TV in a dull flat. Her shirt read, "Save the Gorillas." She informs her co-workers that she went outdoors and saw a gardener, who believes she was crazy despite her attempts to ask for aid. At this, Irving frowns. With suspicion, he says, "A night gardener?" Clearly agitated, Irving gets up and walks away when it's time for him to share his own story. Dylan tells the others he can handle it and follows him. The interaction between Dylan and Irving that follows is incredibly poignant. Irving wishes to go. He wants the suffering to stop. He is unwilling to continue without Bert. Dylan informs him that Bert would rather that he stay since he would be sad without Irving around. Irving says, "I'm your favorite perk," grinning sadly. Irving shares a secret with Dylan during their embrace, one that he seems reluctant to share with the rest. He discloses that his innie was a painter. He depicted a lengthy, dark hallway with a down elevator and dozens of paintings. He believes it's vital, but he's not sure why. Miss Huang calls Dylan away and brings him to visit Mr. Milchick, who expresses regret to Dylan for not being a better supervisor and listener before revealing a surprise. Dylan will be able to meet his Audi's family at the Audi visitation wing he is developing. Milchick advises against telling the others, though. All of them are unmarried. We don't want animosity to grow. Dylan is naturally thrilled about the possibility, even if it's obviously some sort of sneaky divide-and-conquer strategy. The gang is reunited when he gets back to MDR. Irving returns after reconsidering his decision to leave. As the music begins to play, they sit at their seats, eager to get back to work and figure out what the hell is going on down here and where Ms. Casey has disappeared. It's a fantastic, thrilling conclusion to an amazing, thrilling season debut.